Greetings, everyone. I hope you're well. Here we are, our next to last grammar lesson. So we have lesson B grammar, lesson C grammar, and then you are finished with grammar for the year. Today we're going to do lesson B on page 124. So as I'm talking, let's go ahead and get to that page. Also, yesterday I forgot to mention, I have a sty in my eye. A sty is an infection at the lip or the edge of my eye, and it got swollen, and that's why I'm wearing my glasses for these past two videos. It's getting better, so hopefully by the end of the week I will be able to get my contacts in, but we will see. Anyway, that's why I'm wearing glasses. That's why one eye looks a little more closed or lazy, as we would say. But just wanted to give that update, and I hope you're well. I hope you're staying healthy. This is as sick as I have been, so far that is very good. We have been very blessed, and I hope you're staying safe and healthy as well. So today we're going to be doing lesson B on page 124, and we're going to be talking about real and unreal conditionals. Giving a second to let that come into your mind, and for you to process that a little second. Yeah, we talked about present unreal conditionals in our last unit, and as I was thinking back, I talked to one of you guys, and you mentioned how confusing one of the lessons or some of the lessons are, and I think this is probably one of the most confusing ideas for you guys to try to understand. Last unit, we talked about the present unreal, and if you remember, that was a conditional clause, and conditional clauses are cause and effect clauses. Cause is the reason why something happens, and the effect is the result. Okay, and we talked about unreal conditional clauses, and when we had unreal conditional clauses, we had if plus a past tense verb, and then a subject with would plus a simple present. So you can see that. If you remember, that's what we talked about, and we talked about the present unreal's conditionals. When we used those, it was in an imaginary world, or a pretend world, or an ideal world. So imaginary or pretend, or the best or ideal world, right? And we use the present unreal. Something that is unreal is it could not happen. It's not a situation that could happen, right? And so that's why we would use the unreal. Today we're going to add into that, not just talk about the present unreal, but talk about the future real conditionals. And this is where, if we did not understand this, this is going to make even less sense. This is going to be more confusing. But I think I have a way to maybe help us get a better idea of the present unreal for today, in comparison to versus the present real, or the future real. So if you think about it, present unreal is not possible. It's something in a pretend world, an imaginary world. Future real, the real conditional, is something that could happen. It's very possible for it to happen. So, to help us understand that, and to maybe get a better idea of what that means, we were talking about, in this unit so far, we've been talking about customs. And in our last video, I showed you pictures from my wedding, right? So, if we wanted to talk about you coming to my wedding, right? And you're thinking, teacher, you are married. How can I come to your wedding? Exactly. This is the point. This is how we use the unreal. So we're thinking about in a world where I knew you 10 years ago. This is what this statement. We use the unreal to talk about that situation. So, for instance, we could say an example of an unreal conditional would be and perhaps this is not the best grammatical example, but I think you'll get the idea by an unreal, why this is unreal, right? I'm just going to write unreal here so that you already know what we're talking about, right? So, if you came to my wedding 10 years ago, right? Is it possible for you to come? Is it possible now for you to come to my wedding 10 years ago? No, right? It's not possible for you to travel back in time to my wedding 10 years ago. We saw the pictures yesterday, you saw everything, you know what it's like, but there's no way for you to physically go back in time to go to my wedding. So this is not a possible situation. This is an unreal situation, right? Because there's no way you could come to my wedding because it was 10 years ago and we cannot travel back in time, right? So this is what makes this not real. It's this if clause, the cause clause, right? Here, this is not possible, right? We can think about what would have been possible, or what if I had known you 10 years ago and this happened. We can think about that, but there's no way this could be true because I did not know you 10 years ago. Not because I don't like you, but because we just had not met, right? If I had met you, I would have invited you to my wedding. But, so this is what makes this unreal, right? You could not have come to my wedding 10 years ago because I did not know you. But we can think about, well, what if? What if you did come to my wedding 10 years ago, right? In this imaginary world, in this pretend world where I did know you 10 years ago, and you came to my wedding, okay? So if you came to my wedding 10 years ago, you would meet my family, right? So if this happened, then you would meet my family, right? But it's not possible because we cannot go back in time 10 years ago. I know I'm saying it a lot, but I'm trying to make it really, for you to really get it, for it to sink into your mind and for you to understand. So in contrast, and how the unreal is different from the real, right? If you come to my house, you will meet my family. Is it possible? Is there a way for you to come to my house today, or tomorrow, or next week, or when this pandemic is over? Is it possible? Yes, it's possible. Maybe I invite the class to my house when we are finished with pandemic and we can have parties again, right? So this is possible. This may happen, right? You may come to my house. This is a possibility. This is real. That's why this is real. This could really happen. This is not imaginary. This is not made up. There is a possibility this could happen, right? And if you came to my house, then you will meet my family, right? So this is a real possibility, and because this is a real possibility, this could happen. That's what makes this real. Do you see the difference now? Here, you cannot travel back in time 10 years ago to go to my wedding. But we can think about, what if you did? Well, this is what would happen. But there's no way. We're just pretending. We are imagining. And so that's why this is unreal. But if you come to my house, you will meet my family. This is possible, right? You can come to my house. There's nothing stopping you. Well, there's the pandemic. But if I invite you, it is a real possibility that you can come to my house and you can really do this, right? I hope this is maybe helping you see the difference. When we start to do this more, I want you to think about, I want you to really think about this example, right? In comparing unreal and real, right? Unreal is something you cannot do, or you will not do. But real is something you could do or possibly do, right? I have one more example, and maybe this will also help. I'm going to write both sentences. And see if you can decide which one is real and which one is unreal. Having problems spelling today. Get my water bottle as a paper. Hopefully that won't be too much of a distraction, so that my pages don't fly everywhere. Okay, we have two sentences. If someone gave me $1 million, I would give it away. Sentence number one. Sentence number two. If I have a few extra dollars, I will give it to you. Right? So, which one is unreal and which one is real? I don't want to get it off, so I'm just going to do this to confuse you. So let's think about that. Take a second. You try to guess before I tell you. Okay, let's think about this. Which one is possible? And which one is not very possible, is unlikely, is more imaginary or pretend, right? start with this one. If someone gave me $1 million, I would give it away. How probable, how likely, how real is this? It's not very real. Most people don't go around giving away $1 million, right? So this one is our imaginary, right? Because this is not likely. This is not probable, possible, probable. This one, I will have, if I have a few extra dollars, I will give it to you. Sometimes I have a few extra dollars and I can share that with you, and that would be possible, right? So, our first sentence is our unreal sentence. It's not possible, right? It's not probable. It's more of an imaginary statement because people, it's very not normal, not common for people to go around handing out $1 million. And our second sentence is real, right? Sometimes I have extra money and I might give it away to somebody if I have it, right? So this one is possible. This could happen. This one probably could not happen because no one's just going to give me $1 million, okay? And some of you who are good at your grammar may already be thinking and seeing a difference between our unreal sentence and our real sentence. Take a second, see if you see what the others of you see what is different about this sentence from this sentence in the grammar, in the way that it is made. Ready? All right. Let's look at our if clause, our cause clause. If someone gave me $1 million. We've already talked about in our last unit about the present unreal, and I did a very short review at the beginning of this video about the unreal. Let's look at our verb. If someone gave, what tense is gave? Is it present, past, future, present perfect? It's just past, it's simple past, right? What about in my real? If I have a few extra dollars, is that present, past, future, present perfect, present continuous? It's just the present, simple present. Right? So, already we see a difference in the verbs between the present unreal and the future real. In the present unreal, in the if clause, the verb is past. In the future real, the verb in the if clause is present. What about for the effect clause, the what happened clause? If you remember, would give. Would plus the simple present. Right? Let's look in our future real. I will give it away. What tense is this? Is it the same? No. Here would, here will. And when we have will, we know that it is future. Here, well, I'm not going to go there because that would be confusing. So, when we have the present unreal, the verbs, with the if clause, it's past, and then with the main clause, the effect clause, would plus the simple present. In the present future real, present in the if clause, and then future in the main clause or the effect clause. Okay? I'm going to write that out for you so you can see it clearly. have if plus the subject plus the past tense, and then I'm going to write it here, subject plus would plus simple present, you get the unreal. It's the present unreal. But if you have if plus the subject plus present tense, and then subject plus future tense, you get the real. Or the way they put it in the book, you get possible. And for unreal, not possible. Right, I'm going to hold it up so you can copy it down if you like. Also, feel free to pause the video if you need a little extra time to copy it. Okay, that should be good. All right, now let's look in our book and look at the examples they have in our book. On the top of page 124, you'll see our two boxes, one with the future real possible, and then our second with the present unreal, something that is not possible. All right, let's look at our first example with future real. If I go to the wedding, I will wear my new shoes, right? So, in this sentence, it's possible that she goes to the wedding. And if she does go to the wedding, she will wear her new shoes, right? We don't know if she's going to the wedding, but if she does, she's going to wear her new shoes. And you see, you already see the, you look at the verb in the if I go, simple present, I will wear, future, my shoes. Now let's compare that to our present unreal. If I went to the wedding, I would wear my new shoes, but I'm not going. Okay? So here, it's not possible. She's not going. There's no way she's going. Maybe she has to work. Maybe she lives in a different state and cannot afford to go to the wedding, right? So it's not possible. But if she could go, if it were possible, this is what she would do. She would wear her new shoes, right? And you see the difference in you can see the difference in the verbs. In the future real, if present, future tense. In the present unreal, if past tense, and then would wear, would plus the simple present, right? Let's look at another example. If Jane doesn't have to work on Saturday, she will go to the wedding. Here, gets a little more confusing because it has a not, and if we add a not, we add a does, and it keeps the have the same. If Jane doesn't have to work on Saturday, she will go to the wedding, right? She may have to work, she may not have to work. It's possible. We don't know yet. And that's why we're using the future real. And it's like it's kind of like forming a question here when we use the doesn't, like does have. If Jane doesn't have to work on Saturday, she will go to the wedding. And we see the does is the present, and it keeps the have the same, and will go. And we're not going to always have does, as you can see in the first sentence, but only with like verbs like have, where we're going to add the does, and it's in the negative when we're making. Let me back that up. Let me take that back. We only add the does when we're making it in the negative, when we're saying what we're not going to have to do. So if I wanted to say the first sentence with not, if I don't have to, if I don't go to the wedding, I will wear my new shoes, right? I add don't and do. I use do with I. So if I don't go to the wedding, I will wear my new shoes. See, when we're saying something in the negative, using not, we use do or does. But the main verb stays the same. It stays in the present. And we change the do or the does to agree with the subject. Let's compare it to the present unreal. If Jane didn't have to work on Saturday, she would go to the wedding, right? But Jane has to work. It's not even possible for Jane to go to the wedding because she has to work. So this is not a possibility. This cannot happen. This is an imaginary statement. This is a pretend statement. So if she's pretending, if she did go, this is what she would do. She would go if she didn't have to work. If she didn't have to work, if she was free, this is what she would do. She would go to the wedding. And just like similar to the future real, using does or do, now we're talking, if you remember, in the present unreal, we're talking about the past in the if statement. So we're going to use did, because did is past of do. And so if Jane didn't have to work on Saturday, she would go to the wedding. But Jane has to work, so it's not possible for her to go. So we use the present unreal. And because we're saying using not, we're using did, which shows past. And the verb stays the same, have to work. I just said a lot. I know that's confusing, so I recommend maybe rewinding a little bit and repeating it again, just so you hear it a couple more times and make sure that you understand it. There's something else we need to mention. In the red box where it says useful language, it says the present unreal conditional form of the verb be is were. Let me repeat that. The present unreal, so if you're looking at our page on the right side where it says present unreal, when we're talking about things that are not possible, the unreal conditional form of the verb be, so forms of the verb be, am, is, are, was, were, right? So in the present unreal condition, the form of the verb we're going to use, a form of the verb be that we're going to use is were. So here are two examples. If I were you, I would give them cash for the wedding, right? So when we're usually speaking, we usually say, well, with I, in the past, I was late. I was tired, right? But here, because we're using it in the present unreal conditional, instead of was, we're using were. Or with it, if it were warmer, we could have the wedding outdoors, right? If it were warmer, usually it was warmer. It was blue. It was yellow. It was hungry, right? So when we're using the present unreal conditional, we're always going to use were when we're using a be verb. So I were, you were, they were, he were. If he were going to the moon, he would take his cat. Right? He's not going to the moon. It's not possible. But we would still say if he were. Okay? So be on the lookout for that as we're doing our practice practice exercises. So that takes us to the bottom half of page 124, where it says we're going to do 2 practice. Complete the sentences using the future real or the present unreal conditional forms of the verb. Let's do the first one together. All right, the Patels are from India, but they live in the United States now. So they currently live in the United States. They are planning a wedding for their daughter, Parveen. So Parveen's having a wedding. If they blank in India, the groom's family blank for the wedding. So they give us verbs under the line that we have to decide, is this a future real or a present unreal? All right, so let's look at the sentence together. Where do the Patels live now? They live in the United States, right? So the question asks if changes it if they did not live in the United States but in India, right? But they don't live in India, so this is not a real possibility. So we're going to use the present unreal. This is not a possible solution, possible sentence. It's unreal, not possible, because the Patels don't live in India anymore. They live in the United States. So we're going to use the present unreal. So if they lived, past tense, in India, the groom's family would pay for the wedding. But they don't live in India, so this is not a possibility. Hopefully that will help clear that up. Okay? I want you to do 2 through 6 in a second, and I want you to try to work through this the best you can. Practice it. If you don't get it the first time, practice it again. That is the beauty of what we're doing here. You can listen to the video again, and you can practice the exercise again until maybe you get a better understanding of it. Remember, in our previous examples, if it is in the negative, remember, look back to our examples of how to use the negative, use a not with the future real or the present unreal. With the future real, you will use do or does. In the present unreal, you will use did, plus the simple present form of the verb. So, what I'd like you to do now is to pause the video and complete exercises 2 through 6. When you come back, as soon as you come back, you will hear a recording reading the answers, and then after that, we will read together and go over 2 through 6 together. All right? Go ahead and pause the video now.
Page 124, Exercise 2A. 1.
The Patels are from India, but they live in the United States now. They are planning a wedding for their daughter Parveen. If they lived in India, the groom's family would pay for the wedding.
2. The wedding will be in the United States. If the Patels had the wedding in India, the wedding celebration would last 3 days. Here, it will last for 1 day. 3.
The Patels don't have a lot of money. If they were rich, they would invite 300 people. Instead, they will invite about 150.
4. The Patels are planning to have music for the reception. If a band doesn't charge too much, they will have live music. 5.
It's possible that the weather will be nice on the day of the wedding. If the weather is nice, they will have the ceremony outside.
6. Parveen and her new husband will live in their own apartment. If they were in India, they would live with the groom's parents.
Now that you've had a chance to practice these and then also listen and check your answers, let's talk about these together. Let's start with number 2 since we did number 1 together. The wedding will be in the United States if the Patels blank the wedding in India, the wedding celebration blank 3 days. Here it will last for 1 day. Okay, the wedding will be in the United States. That's what is real. That is what is happening. If the Patels blank the wedding in India, so are they going to have the wedding in India? No, they're not. So it's not possible because they're having the first sentence told us they're having the wedding in the United States. So that's telling us already that we're going to be using the present unreal. So if we're using the present unreal, our first, with our if statement, our if clause, we're going to use the past tense. So, had. If the Patels had the wedding in India, so in this pretend world where they imagine what life would look like in India, this would be true. This is not possible, though. This is imaginary. So if the Patels had the wedding in India, the wedding celebration, again, we're using the present unreal, so we're going to use would plus last. So the celebration would last 3 days. Here it will last for 1 day. So let me read it all together. The wedding will be in the United States. If the Patels had the wedding in India, the wedding celebration would last 3 days. Here it will last for 1 day. Good. All right, number 3. The Patels don't have a lot of money. Here's reality. They don't have a lot of money. If they blank rich, they blank 300 people. Instead, they will invite about 150. Again, what is reality? What is real? What is true about the Patels? What is true is they don't have a lot of money, right? So, the if clause of the next sentence wants you to imagine what if they were rich, right? And I'm already giving you a hint about what the answer is. So we're imagining the possibility of the Patel family being rich. So we're going to again use the present unreal. So, and think back to our useful language box. Our verb is be, and in the present unreal, we're going to use were. So if they were rich, they, again, present unreal, so we're going to use would invite 300 people. Instead, in reality, what is going to happen is they will invite about 150. Can you see the difference now? Can you begin to see the difference between present unreal and future real? In the unreal, it's not possible. It's an imaginary world, an ideal world, a pretend world. What would happen if this different set of rules were true? So in this world, what is true of the Patels is they don't have a lot of money. In another world, if it was true of the Patels that they had a lot of money, then this would be true. This would happen. But we're talking about in the present unreal, we're talking about a different world with a different set of rules that are true. And we use the present unreal. And so that's why in number 3, they're pretending what if they were rich, right? So it's not possible. It's just telling you what might happen with a different set of things that were true. So present unreal, it's pretending. All right, oops. Get back to where I was. Number 4. The Patels are planning to have music for the reception. All right, so what is true? they're planning to have music. They will have music. They're planning to have music. They want to have music. So it's a possibility. If a band blank too much, they blank live music, right? So they want to have music. It's possible for them to have music at their wedding, right? At my wedding, you saw we were dancing, right? So it's possible to have music at a wedding. So so it's possible. My mind was going somewhere else. It's possible, right? So if it's possible, we're going to use the future real. And in this, we see not charge, so we're going to use the negative. And if we're in the future real and we're using not, look back at the top of your page on the left column. If Jane doesn't have to work, so we're going to use if a band doesn't, and then charge. We're just going to use the simple present. So doesn't charge too much, they will have live music. Will have in the future. Okay? It's possible that the weather will be nice on the day of the wedding. Okay, so do they know what's going to happen? No, they don't know what's going to happen. It may or it may not happen, but one or the other will happen. It will either be nice or it will rain, right? So we're talking about what might really happen. So we're going to use the future real. If the weather, so with the future real, with the be verb behaves, acts like it normally does. So the weather is a third person singular, so we're going to use is. If the weather is nice, again, future real, they will have the ceremony outside. Let me read that all together. It's possible, so it may or may not happen. The word possible is a good clue here of what you will use. It's possible that the weather will be nice on the day of the wedding. If the weather is nice, they will have the ceremony outside. So future real. All right, number 6, our last one. Parveen and her new husband will live in their own apartment. If they blank in India, they blank with the groom's parents. Again, what is true of Parveen and her new husband? They live in America, and they live in their own apartment. Or they will live in their own apartment. And maybe this is where this will get tricky for you because they use the word will. Parveen and her new husband will live in their own apartment. Remember, they live in the United States, and the plan for them after the wedding will be to live in their own apartment. The second sentence says, if they blank in India, are they in India? No. Has our story talked about them moving back to India? No. So this is not a real possibility. This is not possible. This is an imaginary. This is a what if this other set of rules were true, right? What would life look like in India instead of the US, right? So we're going to use the present unreal. Again, be verb, present unreal is going to be were. If they were in India, present unreal, they would live in the groom's parents, with the groom's parents. Living in them would be quite a different thing and maybe quite strange. So I hope this exercise for you helped show you the difference between unreal and real. Here, they use the unreal and the real to contrast life for the Patels, who live in America, and then it imagined, or it talked about the customs of India, and if the Patels lived in India, this would be true of them. But they don't. They're imagining what life would be for them in India, so they use the present unreal. But reality is the Patels live in America, so whenever we're talking about what they are thinking about that has a real possibility for life in America in this exercise, we're going to use the future real. Again, I know this is confusing, especially this idea of unreal and real. If you can think about unreal being imaginary or pretend, and real being what is possible, what could really happen, hopefully that will help. And again, I encourage you, if you do not understand on the first time, listen again, practice again, keep practicing until you can understand it. And as always, feel free to text me your questions. I'll also give you one more resource. If you look on the back of your workbooks, your textbooks, you will see a website, the Ventures Arcade, and it is an online, you can use your computer on the internet to go and practice more of these online. And you would just, when you go to the website, you'll have a choice of what curriculum. Just pick the one that matches the front of your book, and then go and practice more with the present real, unreal, and the future real. All right? That's it for all now. TTFN, ta-ta for now.